Hi, I'm Lucy Hemman, and I'm a clinical psychologist specializing in teen girls. Today I have my own teen with me, and we're going to talk about topics that often come up in my private practice office, and hopefully we'll generate some ideas for you to use with your teen daughters. Marley?
My name is Marley Hemman. I'm 19 years old, so I'm just finishing up my teen years. My sister is 15 years old, so that also gives me another perspective on the whole teen ageness, and I feel like I have a lot to say about it.
I know one thing that's often a struggle between parents and teens is the topic of doing chores. And I'd like your input, but I want to start off by saying that I think there's a lot of benefits to having kids contribute around the house. And one of those benefits is that it teaches kids how to be competent in some of the basic functioning of domestic life. And I think when kids go to college, they need to know how to shop and properly clean and sort of run a household. So I think that's one of the benefits. Another benefit is that a lot of parents complain that their teens are kind of entitled and that they treat the home as a hotel and they treat the parents as servants. And I think that teens that actually are responsible for cleaning the kitchen understand what that takes and how sometimes not fun that is, and then they treat the kitchen a little more conscientiously when they use it. So I think that's another a big perk. And then there's the just sort of the practical issue that life is really busy for grown-ups and teenagers, and when everybody collaborates, life goes more smoothly. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, we're not going to want to do chores. That's just how it's going to go. Like, I know there's some chores that I absolutely hated doing. I do not want to vacuum ever in my entire life. For some reason, that is just the one chore that drives me absolutely crazy. I don't know why. Unloading the dishwasher, I'm fine with that. I'll clean the kitchen, I'll do that stuff. So I think if you can talk to your kid about it, or teen, if you can have a conversation, say, what would you like to do if you had to pick out a couple chores? That's a good way to start having kind of, I don't know, something that maybe they would feel like they wanted to participate as being part of the family, and something that they want to like their contribution to keeping the house nice.
Mm-hmm. So do you think you should never vacuum, or do you
Yeah.
think that you should?
I think I should never have to vacuum.
Do you think when you're grown up you're going to vacuum when you have your own apartment?
I would rather sweep.
Okay, you're going to be sweeping.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know one thing that you've taught me is that you don't like me to verbalize chores. I actually think she'd prefer to hear my voice as little as humanly possible in her teen years.
Yeah.
So I started writing down the chores that I'd like her to do on a sticky pad and leaving it in a designated place that she can't miss, which is actually
the mirror in the bathroom.
Exactly. So we worked that out, and I think that you much prefer that over me talking about chores at all.
Yeah, because most of the time if you tell me a chore, I'm going to be doing something else and I'll probably forget. Mm-hmm. But waking up to a sticky note is way better than you just telling me, and it's better than waking up to a marathon text, which I know many of my friends wake up to very long texts from their parents of all their chores and duties that they need to do.
Parents text the chores with it. Yeah, I've done that with no success. So I think the sticky pad technique works really well. Mm-hmm. And then what about, I know what parents struggle with is follow through. So we assign chores and then we go off to work and then you go off with your friends. And so it's really hard to follow through as when you all forget. So do you think that there's a good way that parents can handle that?
I have a hard time following through too. I'm not perfect. I don't usually want to
vacuum.
I don't want to vacuum, but I don't know. I don't want to say give them a punishment, because I don't think punishments are usually that effective. I think if you have maybe a couple chores that you know are your responsibility and you can expect that they're going to be asked of you to do, I think that's a good way to kind of keep something steady.
Mm-hmm. So it makes it easier for you to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that when you were younger, and when Daisy especially, if she didn't do the chore the first day, the next day she would have that chore
And another chore.
plus an extra chore
Yeah.
as an incentive to kind of get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you went off to college, did you know some people were just absolute filthy pigs and
People are dirty.
yeah.
And you realize how much time you really need to put into wherever you're living. And I think that's a big part of kind of growing up. When you move away, you come back, and I feel like more responsible for where I am living, kind of, and you want it to be nice, especially when you're living on your own. You know that's like, this is your space and you want it to be the way it is. So I think if somehow, I'm not a parent, so I don't know how you can convince your kid this, but give them some ownership of the house too. That way they want it to be nice for themselves, not just I'm doing chores because my mom wants the living room to be clean. You want to do your chores because you want the living room to be clean and you want your house to be nice. And if you can kind of take that responsibility that kids get when they go off to college and live in their own homes, I think a 14-year-old could feel the same way about their house if you knew the right way to communicate it.
And I think an extension of that is maybe even allowing or inviting your kid, your teen, to talk about, well, how do you want, this is where you hang out with your friends, what do you want to do with this room? How do you want to decorate this room? Or I know you've definitely made decoration modifications in our house, and I think that might give kids more of a sense of that it's their home
Ownership.
too. Yeah, and that they care about it.
Definitely.
Yeah.